Let me tell you how a $200 yellow slipped shoved under my windshield wiper. On a Tuesday morning, mind you, right after I'd scraped 6 inches of stubborn Minnesota snow off every street in Meadowbrook Estates. Kicked off the biggest showdown this neighborhood's ever seen. Picture it. Steam curling from my coffee, hands still numb, reading Community Code Section 12.4b, excessive vehicle idling. $200 fine, due immediately. Like I'd knocked over a liquor store instead of waking up at 4 a.m. to clear streets nobody else would touch. I'm Quentin Harper, and yeah, I've been plowing those streets for free, not because the HOA ever paid me, but because I was raised to believe neighbors ought to look out for each other. And if you're going to live through a Minnesota winter, you know what that means. My day job's contracting, so I got a big Ford F-350, commercial grade plow and all. I'd bought a 2-story Colonial here after my business took off. But every snowstorm, I'd haul myself out of bed before sunrise, rumble up and down those winding roads, 47 houses worth, just because nobody else would. Not city plows, not some service the HOA supposedly hired with our $200 a month maintenance dues. Just me, sweating through thermal layers, making sure old Mrs. Chun or the Robinsons with their disabled son wouldn't break a hip getting to the mailbox. So, yeah, that fine burned, but not for the reason Patricia Hendress and her clipboard sidekick, Karen Whitmore, probably hoped. Patricia, Queen Bee president, never showed her face before 9 a.m., but Karen, community manager, professional busybody. She'd already be out at dawn, hunting violations like a mall cop with something to prove. The fine claimed 3 counts of excessive idling. Never mind, I'd been outside shoveling for the folks who needed help, not joyriding or wasting diesel for kicks. Fact is, in that cold, if you turn your truck off, you might as well get comfortable. It ain't starting again. Amanda, my wife, caught the look on my face when I came in. She's a nurse, born and bred in International Falls, so she gets winter in her bones. They find you for plowing? She said, jaw already set. Let me guess, Karen. I nodded, and she about threw her coffee. You gonna fight it? I shook my head, no ma'am. I was done. I'd pay the fine, and that would be the last time my plow hit a single inch of Meadowbrook Estates. Next storm, for days later, 6 fresh inches. I slept in. When I finally rolled out, sun's up, streets unplowed, my phone started blowing up. Neighbors checking if I was okay, asking why the roads looked like a tundra. I sent them all a picture of that yellow citation and wrote, HOA fined me for plowing. Won't be doing it anymore. Sorry. By lunch, the neighborhood Facebook group was on fire. People posting horror stories, cars stuck, mailboxes nearly flattened, kids slipping on the way to the bus. Dave Thompson, Margaret Wu, the whole crowd demanding answers. Patricia finally broke her silence, posting some robotic memo about harmony, code enforcement, exploring cost-effective snow solutions. In other words, we'll do nothing, so sit tight and quit complaining. A couple more storms hit. The streets turned into icy ruts, cars spinning at the bottom of hills. Karen's fancy white Lexus stuck like everyone else. Some neighbors grumbled at me, but most of them pointed their anger at the HOA. I heard it all. Quentin, just pay the fine and keep plowing. But that wasn't the point. You punish a man for doing good. You best be ready to live without it. Didn't take long for a storm to brew hotter than any Minnesota blizzard. Emergency HOA meeting, clubhouse packed fuller than a fish fry in Lent. Usually, these things were ghost towns, but that night, nearly every family showed up. Patricia sat up front in her burgundy blazer, glasses dangling on a chain, Karen beside her in a suit that screamed corporate reject. Dave Thompson pressed her on the HOA's fat bank account. Others shouted about the missing snowplow services. Margaret Chun, bless her, 83 and 4'0", stood up and let him have it for citing me while I shoveled her driveway by hand. The room erupted, the board flustered, neighbors openly laughing at their nonsense. I finally spoke up, told them, plain as day, I'd paid the fine. I was done plowing. Nobody asked you to plow, Karen snipped. Exactly, I said, and now you'll see what that means. The board promised to seek quotes for professional plowing, but Dave had already checked. It had run us up to $10,000 a season, more than any of us wanted to fork out. That night, As Amanda and I walked to our truck, neighbors stopped to thank me, to vent, to ask if I'd help sign a recall petition to boot Patricia and her cronies off the board for good. Well, Dave got his signatures, and the board tried to weasel out, claiming signatures were invalid. Fines started flying at every single person who signed the petition. Margaret got cited for a bird feeder her late husband built. Dave for a 6-year-old mailbox. Me for a shed that came with my house. It was pure, mean-spirited retaliation, and it scared the older folks. These HOA bullies could slap a lien on your home, mess up your life, all by the book. But Dave wasn't backing down. He hired a real estate attorney, Diane Moss, tough as nails, who called out the board for retaliation, citing Minnesota, a law right to their faces at the next meeting. Patricia tried to adjourn, but Diane promised a lawsuit, and the neighborhood, smelling blood, roared. News crews caught wind, ran a whole segment on HOA tyranny. The Attorney General launched an investigation, and suddenly those retaliatory fines disappeared like footprints in fresh snow. A judge barred the board from issuing more citations, forced a recall election. Dave, Sarah Kim, Tom Brewster, Linda Ramirez, all good folks, ran on a platform of basic decency, transparency, fairness, services that actually, served. When the ballots came in, 73% voted to throw out Patricia and her crew. Karen's job? Gone. Dave asked me, straight up, to start plowing again. They'd pay me fair this time. I refused the big check but took gas money. Told them, scrap the idling ordinance too. They did, and about 15 other rules that nobody but a bored HOA president would ever care about. But Patricia had one last trick. She sent me, Dave, Margaret, half the neighborhood, threatening lawyer letters demanding damages for defamation. Diane laughed them off. Intimidation, pure and simple. Then the AG's report dropped. Patricia and Karen had been siphoning off HOA money for shopping, steak dinners, travel, buried in administrative costs. Felony theft charges. Board's insurance companies swooped in, forced them to pay restitution. By summer, Patricia moved to Wisconsin, Karen already gone, and Meadowbrook Estates, well, it felt like a new place. Honest board, finances online, a block party for the first time in years, neighbors talking, laughing, living. One morning that December, plowing after a fresh storm, I spotted Margaret Shun at the end of her driveway, thermos in hand. She gave me coffee, thanked me again for standing up, for plowing, for being one of the good ones. She passed away that spring. Her grandson called to let me know, handed me an envelope at the funeral. Inside was a letter, full of kindness, and a check, money from selling her house, with a note, use it to help others the way you helped me. Amanda, and I donated most of it to the senior center, set up a scholarship in Margaret's name for kids studying environmental science. Saved a little to help her parents when their time came. Margaret's bird feeder stayed up, and the new owners even added a second. So here's the thing. A stupid fine, meant to shame a neighbor for caring, ended up blowing the lid off everything rotten, brought good people together, kicked out the bad, and reminded a whole neighborhood what community is supposed to mean. Sure, sometimes you have to stop doing the right thing just to make folks notice how much it mattered. Sometimes you take the hit, money, stress, lost sleep, but you stand your ground and, somehow, the world comes out better for it. That yellow slip's still taped to my garage wall. Amanda framed it, half as a joke, half as a reminder that doing the right thing costs you, but caving to bullies costs everyone more. $200 bought us a revolution, if you can believe it. Not a shot fired, just a whole lot of truth, and neighbors refusing to let petty power ruin what they built together. These days, I plow when it snows, the board backs me up, folks wave and sometimes bring coffee, and that's enough thanks for me. New families move in, hear the tale, the guy who got fined for being a good neighbor and turned the whole place around. That's legend enough. I just hope, when I'm gone, people remember I stood up when it mattered, didn't back down, made my corner of the world a little better, and helped others find the courage to do the same. So tell me this, where do you draw the line between following rules and doing what's right? When does standing up become your responsibility, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you? Drop your own HOA nightmare in the comments, or let me know what you'd have done different. Because this isn't just my story. It's every community's story. Everywhere folks are still willing to shovel their neighbor's driveway, no matter who's watching.